Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. Hi, Jesse. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Welcome, welcome. We're looking for to have more people signed up or coming into the live so we can start our reflection on International Women's Day. How is everybody doing? Hello, Euphoria. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? Waiting for more folks to come through so that we can get started. There's usually a theme, no, for the Women's Day, and I don't see anything. Hello, Unikid, Unikid, Unikid. How's everybody doing? Tell me how you doing. Hi. How are you? How's it going? How was your day? I really, really, really wish you that nobody said to you, Happy International Women's Day, and that people are finally learning that it's not, uh, you know. Did that ever happen to you that somebody say, Unikid says I'm bored and going through things, dear. I've been doing the Cardi B meme for a month with the medulla because I swear to you I am also been going through with it through my medulla. It is a little too much. All right. Lupin, Lupin Lane, Lupin Lane, Lupin Lane. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I mean, it's 7:08. I think we should get started. So, hello, everybody. Good evening, good afternoon, good night, good evening, I guess. My name is Laura González. People know me as Blue Witch, and I am coming to you from the Blue Witch headquarters, my office. Um, Today, March 8th, International Women's Day, to invite you to join me on a reflection, on a meditation, hopefully participation. And hi, Jasmine. Oh my goodness, thank you, Euphoria. That means a lot. Euphoria is sharing with us 7 days on a Ramadan, and I just broke fast for the night. So, hello, Jasmine, and I'm glad there's also people coming through from Facebook. So, International Women's Day, I have been commemorating it for, I think, like a decade now that I've been like publicly observing it and commemorating with people, not celebrating, commemorating. So let's start from the beginning. Why we don't celebrate, and this is something that I have shared with a lot of folks that are not um, people of color, especially here in the United States. People who are not people of color tend to speak about International Women's Day as a day of celebration. And I have to remind them that Black and Brown, Indigenous women, and people of color have very little to celebrate. We commemorate, we observe, we recognize the struggle, the fight, and the achievements, but we are not yet in a celebratory mode, um, because there's a lot to still fight for, and there is not a whole lot to celebrate yet. And as you all know, International Women's Day has been celebrated for, I think, about 100 years now. Um, and it's an observance, a commemoration for equality and liberation for women and women's rights movement. Um, the first one was celebrated in 1911, and we talk about the activism of women and the fight for women to bring equality, gender equality. We have not reached gender equality. And like always, I try to think, let's do our commemoration more about the spirituality of it all, more about um, sorority and intersectionality, consciousness. However, there's always this aspect of there's still a whole lot of work that needs to be done. So there are some numbers, right? Some things that are worth saying, that we've been fighting for equal rights for a long, long time, a little bit over 100 years, if not more, but as International Women's Day, 100 years. And it's like that meme, what do we want? Equal rights. When do we want them? Now. And we have been living, I guess, from like mid-century till now, trying to live through the illusion that at least in the United States, we have freedom and equal rights. And the truth of the matter is that we're not there yet. Again, trying not to get too political, but our existence is political. When people cannot exist loving who they love, um, existing in whichever way they want to exist, professing whichever faith they want to profess, um, loving whomever they want to love, um, having autonomy and sovereignty over their body. Um, Never in a million years would I have thought that um, reproductive rights will be taken away from women, especially in the United States, or that um, even right now we have this impending looming threat about vote, right? We could be on the verge of losing women's vote, right to vote here in the United States of America. So I want to speak a little bit about what we can celebrate, what can we commemorate, and what is still an impending need of our attention. And of course, I'm going to talk about um, brown women and indigenous women, for I am a brown indigenous woman, and also our siblings or kindred, um, people from other genders that also benefit from women's liberation. Because in this world and in this day and age, if you're not a cisgender white man, you're not free. And that's a fact. That's a fact. People cannot have freedom when they don't have rights. So one of the first rights that we continue fighting for is the autonomy of our bodies. Um, we did enjoy for a few decades here in the United States the right to abortion, um, the clinical service that is abortion, and the unwavering autonomy to decide if you want to have family or not, children, to bear children or not. And well, that right has been taken away from us. So we ought to continue fighting for that. Um, this is not something that they just decided uh, 5 years ago that they were going to take away. This is something that the powers to be fighting for decades, 2 3 decades, from the 90s and 2000s, and then um, 10s and 20s. It's something that they fought, and it's been well planned, and all about Project 2025 and all that kind of stuff. um, Before I say, yep, the states feel like a prison right now, yes it does, yes it does. um, so when we talk about spirit, when we talk about um, our freedom and liberation as women, and again, please know that when I say women, women, people, anybody that identifies with this fight, we want you around. Uh, but times to speak for now is for women to speak today. Um, we must continue fighting, you know. Another thing to understand is that when they explicitly talk about the spiritual aspect of women bodies and ownership of those bodies, who owns women's bodies, and it should be the person that inhabits the body, right? But no, we continue regressing into the body is not your body. I mean, we have now incels screaming on TV and on social media, your body, my choice, to which I say, you wish. um, because it is a fact that a lot of women die fighting that fight. you know I often tell people about 10 women are murdered a day in Mexico just because they are women. And some folks, love to raise their eyebrows and say, well, that's Mexico, right? Like, yeah, there's a lot of violence in Mexico. United States the number is 5 or 6. So don't think that we are too advanced when it comes to femicides. We do experience a lot of femicides here in the United States as well, particularly, to nobody's surprise ever, black and brown, indigenous women, and people of color. But in the case of femicide, indigenous women, black and brown indigenous women, are the target of femicide and horrible, horrible atrocities that happen. Like, um, we all know, just recently, we have a couple of indigenous children, little girls, um, who were killed in a very, very violent and cruel way. So the fight continues. The fight for us to keep each other safe, the fight for us to keep each other fighting for our rights, the fight for us to keep our fight very wide and very intersectional and very welcoming and in constant evolution of learning and of listening. We have to listen to Black women. for they know. We have to listen to indigenous women, for they know. We have to listen to little girls and little boys, and we have to keep everybody safe. And it begins with women. It begins with women, because if women are not safe, then the families are not safe. And if families are not safe, the whole county is not safe. And if the county is not safe, the whole state is not safe, and so on and so forth. So, yes, women as the people who bear the children ought to be our priority. That doesn't mean it's our only fight, but it is our priority. We still have in this first world economy, first world culture, a monetary value of 75% for women when men get 100%. Don't believe me? Go check on how much people, what are the salaries for men and women, and that disparity that we cannot seem to breach the gap. You know, there's still a huge gap of 25% difference between what men and women make economically. And then also, hi Christian, welcome, welcome, welcome. There is also the suffering of um, being dismissive of what others are going through. We just saw it, unfortunately, like with the election that we just went through, in which um, people of color, women of color, understood what was coming and understood what needed to happen. And we still have people who are not people of color betting on the proximity to whiteness, on the proximity to cisgender man. And unfortunately, yes, we're talking about white women, you know, that they think because of the proximity to cisgender white men, they will be safe and speak against their own rights, and they speak against their own benefits. And the damage is done. So now what we have is not to say to each other, Happy Women's Day and I love you, but more like, let's commemorate International Women's Day and understand what it's about, and then also understand how we can lift each other instead of abusing each other. And sometimes the abuse can be translated into microaggressions between women. We are programmed by the system to have microaggressions with each other, with women. Um, we are programmed to compete with each other, and we are programmed to follow a system that works very, very, very well, a system that keeps us down while we lift the powers and the status quo. So in Mexico, one of the chants that women use today, uh, I love it because they say se va a caer, lo vamos a tumbar, which means it's gonna fall, we're gonna knock it over. And it's gonna fall, we're gonna knock it over, because we are the ones that need to knock it over. And in order to break it down, in order to be knocked over, we have to break so many agreements that are, like I said, we are programmed with these agreements. We are programmed to be racist. We are programmed with being colorists. We are programmed with having um, classism, right? We look at the value of people, and when you meet somebody, it's very obvious, because a person will meet you and say, "Hey, what's your name?" La la la, and the first question immediately, almost after that, is like, "What do you do?" And when we ask, "What do you do?" what we're asking is which bracket you belong to. Are you a farmer? Are you a lawyer? Are you an artist? Are you an inventor? Are you a politician? And what kind of artist are you? Are you a painter? Are you a amateur, or are you Hollywood? So when people ask you, uh, Euphoria, we should hire capybaras to take over gated communities. No kidding. So, it's so ingrained in our culture when people ask, what do you do? And as women, we do that quite often. We also haven't broke the pact of, do you have kids? And if we see women that want to have kids, some of us judge. Why would you want to have kids now? The world is going to shits. And others will be like, of course you want to have kids. What do you mean you don't want to have kids? Of course you want to have kids. Um, that's our duty as women. And the truth of the matter is that that is a very personal and nobody's business uh, situation, you know. Same as who you go to bed with, you know. And if you have sex or not, maybe you're an asexual person that has 7 partners, and that's your business. What you do between the sheets, like Salt and Pepper used to say, is none of your business. It's nobody's business. So the idea and the goal of having these reflections is precisely to unlearn and to decolonize those concepts that have been drilled into our heads, drilled into our consciousness, precisely to be at odds, to be so conscious of the other, and to always have these separations, subdivisions, in which we can say, well, yeah, you're a woman, but you are a brown woman, and I'm a black woman, so I'm better than you. Or I'm a white woman, so I'm valued more than an indigenous woman. So all these narratives that are set in place by the system that has been working so well for at least 2,000 years, since goddess became God, we got fucked. The power of women and the value of women was transformed into, I mean, she didn't even make it into the Bible. They made her into a Holy Spirit little dove. um, the mother was always there, and the Holy Trinity was always there, the Father, the Mother, and the child. And the child could be a woman, could be a man, or could be any other gender, right? But for at least for the last 2,500, 20 some hundred years, is the Father and the Son and the Holy Ghost, no mother. And then the story that we've been hearing for the last 2,000 years. So you and your mom and your grandmother and your great grandmother have been hearing this story that we are sinful, we are less valued than men, because the story that we've been told through the Bible and through the status quo and through the dominant religions is, um, God says, I create man to my image. Man is the perfect image of God. Men. Oh, by the way, women, yeah, we made him of the little rib from the men. In which planet? Because life comes from a woman, or a vulva, or a uterus, or a vagina. There are other people who give birth as well. But more commonly, we have the fact that life is bring forth by women. And of course, there are men who get pregnant as well and give life as well. And that is yet another intersection, right? Um, the belief by baby man that if women help transgender women, I spoke out of term. If women welcome transgender women or non-binary people into the ranks of the rights, the fight for rights for women, we're going to lose rights and they're going to come and dominate. And then we have trans exclusive radical feminists, which I wish they find a different name because I think that that is trans exclusive radical trash. I don't like that they use the word feminist because feminists, real feminists, don't exclude anyone. And I know for some people it's a little too far, it's a little too much to understand that feminism benefit also men and that men are also affected by the incredible violence that is installed on all of us through patriarchy. And they are part of the list of feminism. They might not be on the first line, but they are part of the agenda. Boys and men and trans people. La Megan says have to log off now, pero well, I'm glad you come to the first part of our chat. Um, so in a few minutes, we've talked about reproductive rights. We talk about financial rights. We talk about colorism and otherism. Uh, Megan says, thank you so much for all you do and for delivering this message today. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, I've been doing it on one fashion or another. I've been always talking on El Ocho de Marzo, HM, 8M, as we say in Mexico. And this is not my first rodeo. I've been talking about feminism since I was a child because I grew up in Mexico and Mexico is so incredibly misogynistic, you know. But anyway, so we understand, right, that we need intersectionality. We need um, all colors of women, all shades and all different hues of color of women, black and brown and indigenous and white and pink. We also want chaperone and you know, all the shapes and all the shades of beautiful color of humans and women. We also need um, all genders to be part of our feminist fight. We also need all ages to be part of the fight. Because if you're fighting for the rights, say, of reproductive rights for women, but you forget women that have gone through menopause and they also need medical attention, oh, they don't matter because they're too old. Like, then we need to go back to the drawing board and think about how we're gonna include the elderly women. We need our matriarchs. We need our elders. And I'm getting there. I'm not there yet, but I'm getting there, you know. And we need the elders, maybe not to go and march and scream on the streets, but we need our elders for the wisdom, for the knowledge, for carrying the stories. And we absolutely 100% need the little girls. I mean, our priority should be little girls. And we have a commitment to leave a better planet for little girls. We certainly owe it to them to leave them a planet that is safer, that is compassionate, that is filled with joy and happiness. We also ought to think about different women from different cultures and about the so-called diaspora. I purposely brought my little butterfly today to speak about women, migrant women. If your feminism, if your HM, 888M, if your International Women's Day is not taking into account migrant women, then we have a huge problem. People are conscious of migration when it's a problem or when it's a topic for politicians to utilize misconceptions, false narratives, and propaganda to use and abuse migrants as pawns for their little schemes. And the truth of the matter is that migrant women are incredibly vulnerable. First of all, whether they come from Central South America, Mexico, or from other continents, from other countries, Ukraine, Afghanistan, what have you. Every migrant woman has an incredibly vulnerable passage through the planet to come and make it here to the United States. They are at risk of unspeakable dangers. And some of them don't make it. Some of them leave their homes and never make it. And a lot of them are never found. They are lost forever. They never come back home because they decided to migrate. And migration, believe me when I tell you, as I am a migrant, migration is not an easy decision to make. Can you imagine leaving anything and everything that you know behind, gone, to be forever forfeited in order to go into a new planet? Yes, I said new planet, because moving to another country where you're probably not knowledgeable of the customs and the language is pretty much like moving to another planet. And it's moving to another planet in which you're going to be vulnerable, in which you're going to be incredibly isolated, and in which you barely are going to count. We are seeing that problematic situation in real time. In real time. The problematic situation of migrants, men and women, and children. But like I say, particularly today, we're focusing obviously on women. And these migrant women, you know, you hear privileged people who are very quick to judge and immediately say, well, if you don't want your children to suffer, why do you bring them here? Why do you make them cross the river? Why do you make them cross the border? Why do you put them on a car or on a truck? You know, why you put your children in danger? Because staying where you were born, it's a greater danger than crossing the border. We have to understand that in order to keep the status quo, abusers of the world have made conditions, particularly conditions for women and children, incredibly insufferable and dangerous. And that these women and children and their mothers, the mothers and the babies, would rather risk everything. They will risk it all in order to find an opportunity to survive. I quite often get asked, and I give people the benefit of the doubt on the intention of asking the question, though sometimes I answer, sometimes I don't, because I don't owe anybody an explanation. But I get asked, why did you migrate? Why did you come to Chicago. And quite often I tell them, why did you? Why did your ancestors? Why did your great grandparents? Because migration is a human right. Because humans have moved throughout the planet for millennia freely. All of nature has moved throughout all the planet all the time. This little border business and capitalism and patriarchy has gotten worse and worse. That is new. That is very, very new. Don't believe me? Ask Mexican American families that have 10 or more generations existing here. The majority of them, the border crossed them, and the others came freely because 100 years ago, there was not the crisis that we have now because capitalism was different. Patriarchy was a little different. And of course, migrant women need our attention. And we need to check ourselves when we are worried about migration and the migratory problem, and we use the rhetoric of, oh my God, who's going to pick the tomatoes? Who's going to take care of the children? Who's going to be the nanny and the cleaning lady? Who's going to fix my roof and who's going to clean my garden? Because migrants are not only the product that they create. We are humans, we are women, and we have rights, and we continue fighting for those rights. So it's very important that we commemorate migrant women and lift them up and give them opportunities. If you are here, you know in this channel, we are constantly talking about supporting primordially Black and brown, indigenous, women of color business and people. So, okay, so what am I missing? We talk about ageism, we talk about colorism, we talk about migrant people, we talk about privilege, right? We know that privilege don't make you a bad person. What you do with that privilege makes a difference, though. I have the privilege of being bilingual. I have the privilege of being my own boss. That doesn't mean I'm not going to use that privilege to lift other people up. Oh, you know which one is a good one to focus on as well? Size. Size matters. How good is your feminism when you are criticizing the size of other people? How good could your feminism be when you are, thank you, Kim. How good is your feminism when you are preoccupied about diet culture? Let me tell you something, and I am not exaggerating here. Diet culture kills. Diet culture kills. Because if you think for one moment that eating disorders are not related to fat phobia, fat phobia is the root of eating disorders. We are so extremely damaged by the status quo and unattainable standards of beauty that women and little girls and people would rather die, they would rather starve themselves than being fat. And fat phobia is the only discrimination that is still accepted and celebrated. because people hide behind the mask of, I worry about your health. No, you don't. No, you don't. Because if you worried about my health, you would be celebrating when I stop smoking. You would celebrate me when I transition to veganism. If you care about my health, you would ask me, how's your mental health, Laura? How you been doing? Right? So hiding behind, oh, we worry for women because we worry for their health because it's not healthy to be heavy. Uh, None of your business. Mind your own business. Mind your own body. Have agency of your own body. And fat bodies are bodies that are worthy of existing in the planet. The same as super thin bodies, the same as super short bodies, the same as real tall bodies. Everybody is a body that is worth fighting for and to exist. And I have said it once and I will say it until I die. Do you want to do makeup? Please. Do you want to paint your hair pink or blue or yellow or green? By all means. Do you want to do a little surgery for your cheekbones or your lips? What is the reason you want to do that? Do you want to do that to please others? Then I invite you to reconsider. Oh, no, you know what? I will feel much, much better if I have a chest reduction because my back, because this, because that. Then go for it. But doing something that invasive to your body because of the unattainable beauty standards is falling into the status quo. And the medical industry is complicit to that kind of discrimination, you know. I went to the doctor for a respiratory situation and they offer me a laparoscopic um, stomach sleeve. And I'm like, what? How is that going to help my lungs? I have stories about discrimination by being fat. Believe me, I do. But I don't want to continue talking about fat phobia. So check how is your feminism. Check how your activism includes people of different sizes. And don't tell a thin person, have a burger. And don't tell a fat person, have a salad. Because if it's not on your mouth, it's not your business. Kim, thank you so much because Kim just reminded me of ableism. Ay, where do we begin and where do we end with ableism? We have to fight for inclusion of different able people, right? Disabled people, people with different abilities, whether they are neurodivergent or they have any like physical differences, different body people need to be included on our feminism. We need to include and to make sure that there is accessibility for everything and everyone. As you all know, these videos get captioned automatically because now technology and somehow Facebook has learned my accent, my rhythm, my inflections. So the closed captions on these very videos are getting better. I don't know how to do it on Instagram. Please forgive me, but technology has gone uh, a long way, but there's still a whole lot of fight left that we have in order to include different able-bodied people or people with disabilities into our fight. And it's really important that we educate ourselves and that we understand that everybody, every person has a right to exist. How does it say? With liberty and justice for us, for all, and the pursuit of happiness? Those words feel so far, far, far away right now. Um, but one more thing that I want to talk about before we go into our little meditation is the greatest women of all times, the greatest femme energy of all times, or Mother Earth. This is the Millennium Gaia creation designed by Oberon Zelle, and it's a beautiful, beautiful goddess Earth who has carved all over her body and her hair and her face images of creatures both from land, from sea, and from sky. And what we've done to the earth is exactly what we've done to women. Uh, Dr. Jean Shinoda Bolin says on her book, like a Tree, in an interview that she did with my colleague Christian Ortiz, she was saying that unfortunately we are doing to women what we have done to the earth, which is because we see the earth as a feminine icon. What misogyny, capitalism, and patriarchy has done to the earth is the exact same thing that it has done to women, which is use, abuse, and discard. And time has proved us right. We now know that um, the earth is suffering. I don't want to be a fatalist, but we have now bottom of the ocean creatures shooting up into the ocean and beaching themselves. That is not an omen. It's not the devil. It's not something horrible is going to happen. It's not the end of the world. It is climate change. It is climate change. Oh, but Laura, what does feminism has to do with climate change? Everything. Everything. Everything has to do with how we treat the earth. Because men and the people in the power have seen our planet as femme and have overused and over extracted the benefits of our beautiful planet for the benefit of the wealthy. I was putting on my Facebook the other day, when we say eat the rich, we don't mean you, dear. You who have a little bit more than others. We mean the super, super rich. You know, the CFOs and the racist uh, Yahtzee ones, whom are the ones that use and abuse women. I mean, 13 children with 4 different women, that's a pattern, right? Um, but I digress. Oh, Laura, but it's International Women's Day. We have to commemorate. Yes, we commemorate. We commemorate and we lift each other's up. We are still alive. We are still able, so far, to do a live reflection with other women and people. We still have certain rights and liberties, and we still have a whole lot of fight inside of us. So my goal on doing this reflection today, as you know, I describe it as a reflection, a meditation, and a ritual. So I decided today to meditate and to have a ritual with this image. I think she is breathtaking because, first of all, I see it as a feminine essence. I mean, she certainly looks like a vulva. She certainly reminds me of that part of our bodies. People that have that body part, right? The beginning of life, but also the end of it. Because she is everything. She is the beginning and she is the end. And I would like to invite you to have to stay with me and have a little meditation with this image. I'm going to try to hold it here while I say the words. But why don't we breathe? I invite you to breathe with me. And as you breathe in the oxygen that is a product of all green siblings that we have on this planet. We have algae siblings, we have trees and bushes and shrubs and all the green kindred spirits that live on the earth, particularly trees, producing oxygen for us to breathe. And as we breathe in the oxygen, we make the connection with the trees. And as we exhale carbon monoxide to give it back to them so that they can feed from it. And we breathe in again. And we breathe in the oxygen that they produce. And when we exhale, we're feeding them carbon monoxide. Because the cycle in which life exists is so intrinsically connected with nature. And the powers to be and the status quo and the patriarchy and the misogyny and the capitalism will have us forgetting the value of life and the intrinsic and unable to ever separate connection that we have with nature. We have to fight for nature. Our feminism has to include the earth. And now that how we made conscious that connection that we have with every breath that we take, we connect back to the earth, to our beautiful planet. So we are asking our great mother to shine a light on us. These moments in our life seems like we have a little bit of an abundance of darkness. So let's have a little meditation in which we understand the cycles of life. So I invite you to continue breathing in and out with consciousness on the connection with Earth. And we call on the elements to be with us tonight. We call on the air to help us have eloquence and ideas and inspiration. We call on the fire to have transformation, movement, and passion. We connect with the element of water to have regulation on our emotions and the ability to adapt and to laugh and to love and to live and to feel all our feelings and to know that every one of our feelings is a teacher and a mentor and a messenger. And we connect with the element of earth, that which is not only the planet in which we exist, but also the soil beneath our feet, and the element that represents our wealth and abundance and prosperity, and our connection with good fortune, our connection with abundance, knowing that while we have life, we are rich. While we have earth to breathe, we are rich. While we have water to drink, we are rich. While we have passion in our hearts, we are rich. While we have the earth beneath our feet, we are rich. And we also connect with Mother Earth, Mother Sun, Mother Moon, Mother Universe. They call her Gaia. They call her Coatlicue. They call her Pachamama. They call her many names. And we connect with the spirit of the divine feminine, that which is rich and abundant, compassionate and loving, caring and passive, but which also is passionate and aggressive, assertive and just, regal and imposing. That feminine essence that takes space, or feminine strength, that will speak loud. That energy that in our infinite ignorance we have deemed as masculine, as if only men and entities with penises could have anger and justice and assertiveness. That is a lie. That is one more lie that we are not going to believe anymore. For all our qualities are feminine qualities. Ask the lioness if she don't know what rage is, if you try to take her cubs. Ask Mama Bear if she cannot understand violence, if you threaten her babies. Ask a little dog, the little bitch. Ask her if she will not fight and bite and tear apart anything that will threaten her. Ask yourself, what wouldn't you do for your children, for your sisters, for the people that you love? And bring in that energy into you. For the feminine divine is both luminosity and light, and also darkness and depth. For in the shadow is where we find our light. For in the sorrow is when we find our happiness. For in the balance is where we find nature. And even though these moments, this time, the last few weeks feel like the load is incredibly heavy, we know we have each other. We do have each other. For we are learning to lend a hand with each other. We are learning to build community. We are learning that we are going to lift each other up. We are learning to understand our differences and to see our differences. We need to see color. We need to see difference of size. We need to see the difference of income. We need to see the different languages. We need to see we don't have the privilege to close our eyes anymore. We need to see how diverse we are in order to find equity and equal rights for all women and people. We need to understand our differences, and the only way to understand them is to see them. So we ask you, Great Mother, to give us the ability to see in the dark, to see our sisters and our kindred lending their hands, doing the favor of lifting us up, for we will be there for each other. And we are asking all the ancestors, all the mothers who lost their children, all the mothers who decided not to be mothers, all the women that have fought before we fight now, to be with us, to lend us their hand, to learn from their mistakes as they live in a different dimension, and to change and to modify and to repair from the beyond, to share their wisdom. For every ancestor that we have ever had is inside of ourselves. Cellular memory is not just a phrase that we throw around. We are the product of thousands upon thousands of people. And all those women were in the womb of the mother, in the womb of the grandmother. We are intrinsically connected with each other. And they survived. And we will survive. In the next moments, I will be quiet so that you can think or say out loud your gratitude, your sorrow, and your desires. Give them to the mother so that she can transform them for you. We give thanks for the space that we have shared. Whether you're watching live, you are part of this moment, or if you're watching later, you are too part of this moment. Feel our energy as we feel your energy. We give thanks to each other, to all the women, to all the little girls, to all the people who are pulling together in this International Women's Day. We give thanks to the moon, to the sky, to the earth, to the sun. We give thanks to the elements, to the fire, to the water, to the air, and to the earth. We give thanks to each other. We might not know each other's face, and we might not know each other's voices and desires and ethnicities. It doesn't matter, for we know we are here together celebrating one another and lifting one another. We give thanks for the time and the privilege and the ability to be in community. We give thanks to technology for we can come together. But more importantly, we give thanks to ourselves, to the little girl or the little person inside of us, to the angry teenager that wants to break it all, and to the adult that we inhabit at this moment. We give thanks for the connection within and without. We give thanks to the trees that keep us alive and keep feeding us and keep giving us oxygen. And we give thanks more than anything to our great mother. So let it be. I don't know you, but I feel much better. I hope that this reflection fills your heart with love, with compassion, with knowledge, with wisdom, with understanding, with the ability to transform and change, to repair places where you haven't put attention. We give thanks for the ability to learn and continue learning. I give thanks particularly to the younger generation who keeps me on my toes and keeps me learning every day. And we give thanks to each other. I hope that this has served you. And if you like my work, all I ask of you is that you sign up, bluewitch.org. Please sign up to my newsletter, uh, peruse my offerings. I do tarot readings, I do Reiki, I do consultations. I offer a plethora of classes and community circles and workshops, etc. And if you have it on your heart to send a donation today, my Zelle is my phone number, 630 506-1758. That is also connected to my Venmo, or Venmo could be Laura, LAU underscore CERATI 1 um, on Venmo. And until we meet again, thank you, thank you, thank you so much for spending the whole hour and 5 minutes with me. Thank you, Kim, Janet, Deborah, Jessica, Fraternidad de la Diosa, La Megan, Cindy, Paulina, Euphoria, Guillermo, Masas Mundo, Frisia, Alphagram, Hematite, Tabby Cat, Future Juju, Lupinella. Who else? Who else was here? Unikid. And who was the first person? Was it Unikid? I think so. Oh, and Jessica Duran and Euphoria. Did I say Euphoria already? So thank you all for watching. Thank you, Kim. And thank you, Janet, also. And thank you all of you for watching. And my name is Laura González, Blue Witch. And until we meet again, never, ever, ever forget that you are loved and that we have a lot to fight left, but we also have a lot of fight within us. Until we meet again, you are loved. Bye-bye.